All right, well, we're a minute past top of the hour. Wanted to welcome everyone to AI Academy. And just a quick update, please head out to the community page. We have additional resources out here. It has since been reformatted, so feel free to use the search. The search is fantastic to find your favorite articles, post questions, and get all the AI goodness out there that you need for your deployments. So without further ado, we have a very exciting topic. This is a product personally near and dear to my heart. It is GA in the Tokyo release. It's something that we are just been eager to highlight. And our featured presenters today are going to be Rahul Madavarapu, who is with our AI Solution Success team, Debajit Choudhury, who's Senior Manager with our HR product team, and Brian McArthur, who is our Technical Program Manager specific to IAR for HR. So at this point, Brian, I will turn it over to you to get us started.
Great. Thank you, Marcel. Next slide, please. There we go. So today we're going to provide a quick overview of IAR for HR. We'll conduct an exercise, and then we'll finish with Q&A. Next slide, please. So you're asking yourself, why IAR for HR? Well, we want to enable employees the ability to ask for help in their own natural language and receive service anytime, wherever they are, with fast resolution, while also automating HR case resolution to drive down the cost of services provided. Next slide, there we go. Benefits. The benefits for IAR for HR include cost savings for the organization, faster response time for employees, the ability for employees to ask for help in their own natural language, in the channel that is most convenient to them, and receive a response in that preferred channel. Additionally, easy implementation that is powered by AI search and uses an organization's own self-service content. So let's go through an example use case. Roughly 50 to 80% of employee requests come in as unstructured natural language requests. They require human triage and could take anywhere from 3 to 5 days to get a response. Next slide. Now, with IAR for HR, it will automate routine and low complexity requests to turn a 3 to 5 day response into a 3 to 5 second response. You'll get faster service delivery using automated self-service. IAR for HR also has the ability to route critical or sensitive cases directly to an agent. This allows for white glove resolution with the empathy that is needed for these cases. Now, the KPIs for IAR for HR include deflecting routine HR inquiries, improving ESAT, CSAT, and XLAs, reducing time to resolve, and improving self-service effectiveness. Now, that's just a quick overview of IAR for HR. Are there any questions before we move on to the exercise? And please post them in the Q&A section.
Brian, I don't see any questions at this point. Before we get into the exercise, Rahul, this may be a question for you. Can you maybe explain the difference between IAR for HR versus IAR for ITSM, since some folks may be familiar with that?
Hey, hi everyone, and thanks, Marcel, for bringing the question up. And that's definitely a question to make sure everyone understands the difference. To start with, both IAR for ITSM and IAR for HR, they do use the same framework, which is the issue auto resolution to start with. But how they function in the way that how end users experience both these applications is different. The reason is, in ITSM, whenever the end user open up an incident, they can get help from a virtual agent topic as well. That's how the self-service going to be happening. In ITSM space, where if there are any available VA topics, they're going to be picked up based upon the incident opened. It's going to see the intent of that incident and tries to find a relevant match. And they can go through a virtual agent flow topic within the virtual agent, be it in the Teams or in the portal or on the mobile. And coming to HR, the difference is we don't use any VA topic flows, but rather we take the help of AI search recommendations. So AI search gonna surface the relevant results, be it from the knowledge or catalog based upon the HR case open. So that's how we see the difference. And coming to the channels anyway, yeah, we're gonna discuss about them as well. But yeah, that's the major difference. We don't have the use of VA topic flows in HR.
Great. Thanks, Rahul. And I'll turn it over to you to kick us off on our exercise. But yeah, very important to understand that IR for HR is accessible on the channels employees are commonly on and not forcing them to route through the bot. So go ahead, Rahul, you can take the screen.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into a quick exercise. So before going further, so what we're going to do today in the exercise is, let's first see the end user experience, as well as then once we see that, we'll also experience how the admin's going to configure IR from HR. And with that, me being an employee of an organization, because it's near to the end of the year and I do have multiple questions about my benefits or health insurance, or what are the things which going to change. With all that, I land on my portal, or even I can just use my email as a request channel to open up a HR case. So probably what we can go through is, I want to know how to sign up for health insurance. So let's try to open a HR case for that. And for that, I'll just use the search capability within the portal and search for this general inquiry. Here, okay, there's a genius result which came up for that general inquiry item. Go ahead, click on request, and we'll try to pose a question for how to sign up a health insurance. So let's quickly submit this. So here, as the case gets submitted, what generally happens with IR for HR is, issue auto resolution uses artificial intelligence and natural language understanding to interpret the tone and intent of this case. And then A analyzes the description of the HR case and identifies its criticality. That way, the critical cases are flagged to live agent for immediate assistance, whereas the non-critical cases are provided with relevant knowledge, articles, and catalog items, which we're going to see in a few. So during this process of case resolution, employees can request agent assistance at any point of time as well. So here, if you see, as I just opened the case, let's also quickly switch to the email where I could have received a notification for this. So here in this channel, if you see, so basically whatever the notifications we get, we do receive it from different response channels. One is email, and the other is virtual agent, and also via SMS. So if I have one of the recommendations, so if this is how an email will be sent out for recommendations with a action to click on the recommendations. I'll quickly do that. And once I click on that view recommendations, so this is how for the issue, whatever I opened, it come up with this recommendation shown. So these are the ones, basically the AI search results, which will be relevant based upon the description, of the short description of this case. And here, if you see, we can click on any one of them right here. And it just open up in the same portal view. And we can go back. So this is the place where we can see there are multiple things happening. You already do have an option directly to adding our request back into the assignment queue if you find these results are not helpful, and the other way around, because this is the best possible way out to get the resolution quicker via IR for HR. And if I find this helpful, I simply say Yes, they were helpful, and it gonna ask me what recommendation out of this was helping me. So I can say health insurance benefits, and similarly, I can close the case right here in this page, and there's no need for any human intervention to close out the case. If not, I can also opt for keeping it open and just route it to an agent. So we'll also try to see the other view as well. So here, at the same time, probably one thing I can bring it up over this point is whatever the recommendations we see out of the box, the maximum count for these recommendations would be 5. And we can change that count, but that's built in few of the other things, like there is a script include which holds this criteria of how many recommendations can be shown at this point. So that said, let's move to the other scenario. So where I want to just open a critical case and see how it's going to deal with that. And for that, let's assume I have a direct reportee and they have some issues with the time card. Probably let's raise some case around that. And so as this goes to, I just want to mention that here, if we observe, generally what happens is initially, if it's a non-critical case, it gets assigned to a HR bot. But if it's not, as soon as it realizes it's a non-critical, this not even in a snap of second, we can see this being assigning. An agent can better assist, so it's unassigning itself and moving it back into the queue. So this is how whenever we find a critical case, there's no need for the user to wait on for anyone, but rather it directly goes into the queue and an agent will get back to that. So this is the other scenario where when the cases are really critical and we need some human intervention or human help. So I'll just pause here for any questions before I move on to the admin experience or how to configure the things.
Okay, some great questions came in. First, can we maybe clarify, is virtual agent handling the HR case? Is it truly the virtual agent? Any comments around that?
So here in this IR for HR case, virtual agent is only acting upon as one of the response channel to give out the notification that there are some recommendations available. But rather than that, there is no VA topic flow which is acting upon here, unlike in the ITSM space, which we discussed earlier. So it's purely AI search. Once the system detects that whatever the case opened, if it's non-critical, then we're going to show up with the recommendations from AI search. And virtual agent, email, or SMS, these going to act as the response channels where we can get notifications. Or even in MS Teams, where virtual agent gets integrated, we just get notifications from them. And we can see whatever the recommendations, but no VA topic flows.
Perfect. And that's a great segue into the next. Oh, was there a comment or question on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think the confusion was because we use the word bot. So although we are using the word bot, is actually a separate AI ML workflow which is handling the request, and VA is just acting as a channel. It's not a bot that is handling the entire case.
Yep. And also to that point, the HR bot, it's just a user profile name. If you want to change it to something else, we'll check it in the configuration, but it's definitely can be done. So it's just a username right now being used to get to someone to get auto assigned. And
okay, great. Yeah, and the next question is a good segue. So does this include knowledge blocks, and can it index embedded PDFs?
So one thing is the knowledge blocks with AI search, they are generally doesn't get indexed. So I would say no to knowledge blocks. And what's the other point, Marcel?
Embedded PDFs. So maybe attachments or PDFs that have been
Oh,
embedded.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because attachments are supported by AI search, it just goes through a few of the attachments as long as they are allowed to be indexed. Yes, even PDFs or other attachments, they can be shown as one of the recommendation item. So we'll also talk about the AI search piece. Probably it will also add more detail how AI search is being used in here as part of the flow. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
great.
yeah, cool. Then let's quickly jump on to see how the admin experience looks like and what the configuration looks like. Here, we are trying to aim at the basic functionality. So to get up and running, everything we have out of the box, we do have the out of the box configurations. So we'll try to see what are the few things which collectively make this flow work. So to start with, I want to say, obviously, to have this application installed, we do need to install this issue auto resolution for HR store application. But before that, there are from prereqs. So the prereqs are like the plugins of AI Search, NLU Workbench, IAR, and obviously the human resources scope app. So with that understanding, so I do have all these plugins installed. So with that, let's move back here. And yeah, if you see, I already have that installed. So first thing first, I need to go into the issue auto resolution settings for me to activate IA for HR. So I'll type in resolution. So here, under this application issue auto resolution, let's go to this settings module. So whatever we see here, these are the out-of-the-box configurations. Even we do have one for incident that comes from IA for ITSM, and all the other tables are for HR. So these are on the different tables on which the IA for HR works. And for now, I try to activate for all the tables. Let's quickly take a sample at SNHR core case table. So whatever the end user experience, the cases which we opened earlier, they're getting saved in this HR core case. So to start with, once we have this configuration, there are a few things which we need to think of. Okay, the first thing comes up as, okay, obviously I'll make this active. Once after that, whatever the HR cases I open, so what would be the triggering point or what are the trigger conditions for this IR for HR flow to get kicked in? So this is the place of task configuration tab where we're gonna decide what those trigger conditions look like, and also to answer the earlier question. So whatever the HR bot we were seeing earlier, it's just because I can pick any other username, whatever we feel like, according to our needs. So that obviously changes from HR bot to any whatever the name we select. And then coming to the conditions. So if we see right now out of the box, it expects the IR for HR expects the source of these HR cases to be either email or self-service. That's one. And also the what type of HR cases, they should be manual, of the fulfillment type is manual. That's what we see. And also the HR service should be general inquiry. That's how out of the box it's configured. But that said, because these conditions, we can always customize them, change them, because each organization has their own needs. So for their employees, in that case, you're totally welcome to make those changes right here in these conditions. So at the same time, we also do have this task SLA, which can be running through. And currently I set it for 10 hours as part of my configuration changes. And then the other key point for us is to understand, okay, what are the conditions at which the IR for HR steps out and brings in a live agent or a human agent gets assigned. So the exit condition is the place we're going to do that. So currently in out of the box, what we have is basically predicted criticality is critical, and that's one. And even the language, the predicted language should be English. So these are the out of the box conditions where it expects the criticality to be really it's critical. At the same time, the language should be English. Only then it works, or basically if it's non-critical and English, it works. If not, it just exits the workflow and assigns the bot or basically the user or the agent. And then we have the other part is the machine learning model, right? And we don't need to configure, it all comes out of the box configured. And then the intent to topic map. This is something, this is the key differentiation I was talking about. So this is something which can be used in the ITSM space, but here in HR, IR for HR, we are not using any VA topic flows. So we don't need to assign or add anything for this. And also if you see whatever the setup we see here, this is something similar to ITSM as well, because this all comes under the IAR framework. And then we do have this reminders. So this is the place we are using because we already configured a task SLA of 10 hours. Accordingly, we can configure what are the different SLA percentages at which a notification needs to be sent out to the user if they still want to look at the recommendations or if they want someone to get assigned to. And then the other major portion, which is the AI search integration with IA for HR. So whatever the recommendations we are seeing, those are all coming from AI search. And even to the similar question which we have posed earlier, the attachments like PDF, are they supported? So whatever AI search results do support in the regular results, they all can be shown even in the IA for HR, apart from Genius results, obviously. So it only shows the results in the regular format rather than in the Genius results format. So with that understanding, we do have an out-of-the-box search application, which is the issue auto resolution for HR. Let me quickly dive into that. That's what attached to this auto resolution configuration. For that, okay, I'll just, so here if I see, I'll try to edit this record. It's the same. So there is no change when it comes to how you configure AI search. Whatever we already know how to configure and make the AI search work, it's the same thing with the search profiles, with the search sources. Everything is same. It's just that we need to make sure the search sources. So if I can go back, going to this search profile, if you see, it's the same thing with the search sources, the synonyms, stop words. Just make sure, just personalize, customize it according to your HR needs or how you want your employees to get these results surfaced. So for this, we do have the catalogs and the knowledge. I'll just quickly go into the knowledge search sources. So we can always have these conditions applied. Okay, what the specific content which is relevant for my employees that I need to surface. So you can always configure those conditions here so that only the content which is relevant for the employees in the HR space will be showing up. And with that understanding, you can always add other conditions, and these are all available to be customized. So with this understanding, so it's the pretty much, I might not be going to the more details of AI search, but it's pretty much the standard configuration of what we need to be doing for AI search. It's just that we use this same search profile or the search application back in here attached. And similarly, if we have this search results portal. So back in, I went into an email notification where I clicked on view recommendations. If you see, when I clicked on it, it automatically took me to the search portal, which is the ESC portal. The reason is because I already assigned what's the portal where the needs search results would be going into. And finally, the other configuration part is the end users are requesting, but what their response channels would be. So that's the configuration we're going to do right here in this tab. So currently I activated it for my email as well as virtual agent. So along with that, we do get an initial recommendation email. This is again a standard email, which we are all aware of in the platform. So it's a standard configuration where you send out what we've seen here simply. It looks this way. This is the initial one. And if there are any other things, so if you see, there are this action required, and also I was talking about the follow-up notifications. This is how they look like. It's all, so basically these are again the platform notifications, and they can also be shown in virtual agent as well. So with that,
Rahul, follow-on question to the notifications, because this is often a burning question when our customers implement, is how do we adjust the number of recommendations shown in the notification? And then, it may even go as far as how do we, determine which search results show in that notification.
So the first thing is to point out here, if we see, it doesn't show in the notification itself. It just gives us an action for view recommendations, just to make sure to have that security around. The user need to click on these view recommendations within their notification. Once they do that, they get landed here. So if I can go back, probably I can take this one. Okay, let me click that. So here, okay, right now, whatever the count of the how many results we see, we don't see it in the notification, at least in the email space, we do see it here. And once we see it here, the count or the number of notifications which are shown here, it's controlled by a script include generally. So within the out of the box, it's hard coded as 5, but we can always change that value. But right now it's suggested to have 5 rather than more or less to get that context. And also, what's the second question, Marcel? Sorry.
Yeah, it was more how configurable are the notifications and the information displaying from the notification. So this is perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, for configuring that notifications, yeah, it's similar to going back to those notifications. They are as simple as the platform notifications, and similarly, how they look and feel. We do have those notifications like general, like any other notification within the platform. We can always customize them to say, change the verbiage or what kind of info need to be displayed for the user. But eventually they need to click on it to get through here to the platform where they can see the results. Whereas in virtual agent, they can see the results upfront in the virtual agent itself, because the expectation is while they are in virtual agent, they already logged in as the user. But as in the email, we want to make sure they click on those view recommendations so that they can be real users, so that they can get in and see the proper appropriate results for them, specific to them. The reason is even AI search, when it tries to bring up the results, we do have that configuration where based upon the user context as well, few of the recommendations do show up. We do have that level of configuration in AI search, search implement rules, etc. So that's the reason there. Yeah. And yeah, so this is what I basically want to show around in the admin experience. So with that, probably what we can do is we can just open up the floor for any more questions.
Yeah, Rahul, one question that came up is what languages are supported? Because I know there's different languages supported with virtual agent, with AI search. Let's talk about that for issue auto resolution for HR.
So currently in Tokyo, for IR for HR, we do support English only. So that's why it was one of the, while I was discussing, one of the exit conditions where if the language is not English, it's going to exit and just assign it to an agent. So currently it's English only.
Okay, great. And another question that came in is how does this work with HR Connect? And maybe the person asking wants to type in HR Connect. I'm not sure if there's a partner offering or something specific to.
There was a Connect chat. If you're referring to that, is that the question? Like if the Connect chat that we had with HR? I think if that is the, because that was a chat app that we had, but was deprecated, I think, a few releases back. So yes, it will not work with that chat any longer. If that is the question.
We're using the old HR Connect chat still. We haven't transferred over yet.
So yeah, that has been deprecated. So this will not be supported with it.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just had to ask. Thank you.
Yeah, and Debajit, yeah, thanks for doing that. And just to add on, whatever the request channels currently we do have are basically email and self-service. Those are the request channels from where we can request for this to get triggered. That's why if we see, if I can go back, right in here, I want to just surface the configuration back. Task configuration, if you see, the source type is email or source type is self-service. So either from portal or email, the cases should be raised. So that takes away to that point, or to say what just Debajit said, that HR Connect doesn't work. Yeah. Any other questions?
I think that's all for questions. For the audience, Victor has kindly posted links to the YouTube channel where you can access the replays for AI Academy. And we did have a great suggestion to go ahead and post some of the upcoming agendas. So we'll look into doing that. But I wanted to thank our presenters today just for the contributions to AI Academy. We're really excited to feature you, really excited to share more on issue auto resolution for HR. And thanks everybody for attending. Hope you have a wonderful day or evening and look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Thanks everyone.